Hello everyone. We'll be discussing about a very strong technique, that is fluorescence in situ hybridization, and we have already discussed about physical mapping, some basics in which cDNA library were prepared and genomic DNA libraries were prepared. And once these libraries were these cDNA and genomic DNA, they were cloned in the suitable vectors, they were processed for sequencing. And we have already also discussed about radiation hybrid mapping, which has helped us in assigning the markers which are closely linked to each other, and they were present on the same radiation hybrid, and back clones which were sequenced by shotgun approach. Now we have some sequence data with some markers on it, and now we will be interested in knowing that which chromosomal region they belong to, and the other region, what are the other regions which are flanking them, they are mapped or not. So FISH or fluorescence in situ hybridization is one of the powerful and very nice technique which will help us for this. So fluorescence labeling of nucleic acid, it was developed somewhere in around 1980s, and this has proved to be extremely valuable in many different applications, like for this fluorescence in situ hybridization, for tissue in situ hybridization, and automated DNA sequencing. So fluorophore is a chemical group that can absorb energy when exposed to a specific wavelength of light, that is called excitation state, and then it re-emits a very specific but longer wavelength of lower energy and come back to its ground state. So the emission which is done, that emission is seen in the form of fluorescence. So direct labeling of nucleic acid with fluorophores can be achieved by incorporating a modified nucleotide. So we have seen that we can have 2' deoxyuridine 5' triphosphate, which contains an appropriate fluorophore. Now these fluorophores which are commonly used are aminomethyl coumarin. This aminomethyl coumarin is commonly referred as AMCA. Excitation is at 350 and emission is at 450. Then we have DAPI. This is 4'6 diamidino 2-phenyl indole. That is another fluorophore which is used. We have green fluorophores like FITC, that is fluorescein isothiocyanate, and we have fluorescein. Then we have red fluorophores. In red fluorophores we have CY3, that is indocarbocyanine. Which we have TRITC, that is tetramethylrhodamine isothiocyanate. We have rhodamine, we have Texas red, and we have CY5, that is indocarbocyanine. So these are some of the fluorophores which are commonly used for the labeling of nucleic acids or other biomolecules for detection purpose. So this fluorescence in situ hybridization, it uses a fluorescent probe to detect the location of DNA sequences on the chromosome, and the probes are prepared which are short sequences of single stranded DNA, and that match the DNA sequence that we wish to find, and probes are labeled with fluorescent dye before mixing with the metaphysic chromosomes, and wherever they find complementarity they bind there and they give us a signal in the form of fluorescence. So here we can see this is dividing cell with metaphysic chromosome. So these are all metaphysic chromosomes which are present on this slide. Now we will prepare a probe. Let's say this is STS1 and we wish to know the chromosomal localization of STS1. So we will prepare a probe with a particular fluorescent label, and then the chromosomes here, metaphysic chromosomes, are denatured by the addition of formamide. It denatures the chromosome, and then this probe is added to the denatured chromosome. So wherever is the complementarity of this STS1 and the sequences, there the probe will bind and it will give us a fluorescent signal. So this is how this fluorescence in situ hybridization it works. So FISH enables the position of a marker on the chromosome or extended DNA molecule to be directly visualized, and marker in this is the DNA sequence that is visualized by hybridization, and it's a version of hybridization analysis in which intact chromosome is examined by probing it with labeled DNA molecule, and the position on the chromosome at which hybridization occurs provides information about the map location of the DNA sequence used as probe, and DNA has to be denatured before we process for the fluorescence in situ hybridization. In earlier versions, even in the DNA sequencing methods, initial usage was done with radioisotopic labeling, but now because of many reasons, fluorophores are preferable over isotopic labeling. One is the safety issue, another is some of the isotopes have very high emission energy which results in scattering of the signal and resolution is very poor. And if we use some weak isotopes, then low emission energy requires very high exposures on the photographic plates. So it results in high background and difficulties in getting the required signal. So we are now more dependent on the fluorophores, and the advantage with fluorophores is they usually emit in the visible range. So once we have more than one color in a same reaction, we can see multiple things in one reaction, like we do in DNA sequencing. So DNA sequencing basically involves 4 fluorophores which emit at different wavelengths. So all four fluorophores can be used in a single reactions. So fluor labels with different color emission can be designed, making it possible to hybridize a number of different probes to a single chromosome. And mapping the position of the clones therefore provides a direct link between the genome map in its DNA sequence. So we get to know that okay, this is a DNA probe and this is where the DNA probe is binding to the chromosomal DNA, assigning it a position on the chromosomal DNA. So the problem with the probes is because of the presence of repetitive DNA. So we can block these repetitive DNA sequences in our probe. So like these are some repetitive DNA motifs present on our hybridization probe. So if we can design DNA oligonucleotides which are complementary to these repetitive DNA, and before we process this probe for hybridization with the chromosomal DNA, we hybridize this hybridization probe with these oligos. So these oligos will block the repetitive DNA site, and then we can have probe binding to the unique positions on the chromosomal DNA. Now here we see this is a genetic map of chromosome 17 from British peppered moth. So when the fish fluorescence in situ hybridization was done for these different genes, so we can see that here is this sulf carb and this gene, then we have these genes here, these genes. Now when you see the position of these genes present on the chromosome, we can come up with the gene map present on the chromosome. So this is a gene map depending upon the locations which we are getting. So this is there, then we have this one, then we have this followed by this one. So this is how by different genes mapped on the chromosomes, we can come up with the actual genes present on a particular chromosome. So fish was originally used with metaphasic chromosomes, and these chromosomes were prepared from nuclei which are undergoing division, and the signal, fluorescent signal obtained in fish is mapped by measuring its position relative to the end of the short arm of the chromosome. But metaphasic chromosomes are highly condensed, so resolution is not very good because of the high condensation of the chromosome. So resolution is low. So we have few more modifications before we process these chromosomes for fluorescence in situ hybridization. So for fine scale mapping, we may use chromosomes which are more extended. So here are few methods which will make the chromosomes more extended. These are mechanically stretched chromosome. So metaphasic chromosome from nuclei are isolated. A centrifugation step is included, and shear forces of this centrifugation results in chromosome stretching up to nearly 20 times their original and normal length. And then individual chromosomes still they are recognizable, and fish signals can be mapped in the same way as the normal metaphasic chromosome. So the resolution is significantly improved by using mechanically stretched chromosome for fluorescence in situ hybridization. We can also use non-metaphasic chromosomes, like interphase chromosomes can be used, which are basically the stage between the cell cycle, and resolution is almost equivalent to the mechanically stretched chromosome. So, but a problem with non-metaphysic chromosome is that their chromosomal morphology is lost. So, we don't have any external reference point against which to map the position of the probe. So, these mechanically stretched chromosomes are more preferred. So, interphasic chromosome contains the most unpacked of all cellular DNA molecule, and improvement of resolution of fish of better than this. So, fiber fish can also be done, and gel stretching or molecular combing methods can be done. So, this method is gel stretching. So, here agarose is there, microscopic slide which is coated with restriction enzymes, and agarose is poured. Then agarose solidifies and DNA becomes stretched, and then we add magnesium, and because of magnesium, restriction enzyme digests the DNA, and the DNA molecule with restriction sites are visible. So, this can be seen on the slide, and then it can be used for fluorescence in situ hybridization. In molecular combing, in the DNA solution, cover slip is dipped, and these molecules attach to the cover slip by one end, and then slowly cover slip is withdrawn, giving a comb like DNA. So, these DNA molecules are parallel DNA molecule which are more stretched. Another important point which comes up in the cloning, we have seen that when we use shotgun cloning approach, it becomes a random thing, and many of the it is very difficult to assign the exact position of the chromosome, exact position of the contiguous clone on the chromosome. Then we have used hierarchical shotgun approach. Another method of using whole genomic DNA is separation of the pure chromosome, one single chromosome, and then that single chromosome can be processed for library generation. So, this is flow cytometry. So, in the process of flow cytometry, the chromosome, individual chromosomes can be isolated. So, here the chromosomes are fluorescently stained and pass through a nozzle vibrator to ensure that each drop contains a single chromosome, and when they pass through the laser beam, they give a fluorescent signal. So, the fluorophore wherever it is labeled, it gives a fluorescent signal. So, the fluorescent detector identifies signal from the drop, and then it applies an electric charge to these drops. So, because of these electric charge applied on these drops, when they reach the electric plates, they are deflected into a separate beaker. So, this way we can have the separation of individual chromosomes, which can be processed for radiation hybrid mapping. It can be processed for the chromosomal shotgun approach, and also for whole chromosome DNA library for A's of the assignment of different genes on the main chromosome. This is a selected reading for this part.